All right, it looks like we are live. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be talking about today, downsizing and the six essential steps to downsizing in the market right now. Today, obviously, this topic comes up all the time in real estate. I have people mentioning downsizing and figuring out, what's the next step, especially after maybe the kids go to college and they want to just have less square footage, maybe, basically just make their monthly payments a little less expensive per se. So we're going to kind of cover all that today. We have a great panel as well. If you guys would like, I'm kind of just going to quickly introduce you. Just a 1 minute quick just synopsis of who you are and what you provide for us. That'd be great. Jay, if I could start with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Kilduff. I'm a co-owner of Ward Kilduff Mortgage. We've been serving Connecticut in the residential lending aspect for about 15 years. Had a great opportunity to help a lot of first-time home buyers and a lot of second and third-time home buyers close on houses within Connecticut. We offer all different types of financing, everything that's out there and readily available. As far as 1 to 4 unit homes goes, we're able to help you out with that. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Melissa, you're up next.
Sure, thank you. My name is Melissa Muszynski. I'm the owner and lead designer of MBM Design, which is a full service interior design and home staging firm. And I look forward to having a discussion today about downsizing and how our team can help.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. Ryan, how about you?
Hey guys, Ryan Keating with the Keating Agency. We're a independent insurance agency working on your behalf. So we've worked with homeowners in the greater Hartford, Connecticut area for over 50 years. We've gone through many changes of life for our clients, and we'll talk a little later about some of the things that go into if you're not buying another home and selling your current home and how insurance plays. So thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Ryan. And Rich, you're last up.
I'm Richard Witt, and I have 2 law offices, and we handle all the counties, just like Jason, in the entire state of Connecticut. And we have a field office in Fairfield, and we have an office in West Hartford Center and in Plainville, fully staffed. And we do commercial and residential real estate and business formation. If you're buying an investment property, we work hand in hand, and we can do all that for you. And we'll handle everything from beginning of the closing and the contract to the end of the closing. So
awesome. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate it. And I'm Devin Cichowski. I'm a senior partner on the Miale team. I've been on the Miale team my entire real estate career, which is a little under 6 years now. The Miale team is the #1 selling real estate team in Hartford area, Connecticut, I should say. And we almost closed close to 500 closings last year. So we do a great job for everyone, and this is why we have a team of professionals like this team that you see today that know exactly what they're doing, and we're able to help you through the home buying process. So what we're seeing here, these are kind of just market stats that we've gone through. Basically, obviously, as you guys probably know, people are tuning in, that the market has been absolutely crazy recently. And what we're seeing is that the amount of listings that are actually coming on since in the last 6 months, you can see there was 3,413 6 months ago, and now we are basically at 1,326. Those numbers obviously fluctuate on a weekly basis, but this is what we do. We track these numbers to see exactly where the market is going and where it's actually planning to go, hopefully in the future. So this stat we see here, obviously these are the under deposits that come onto the market. So again, these numbers vary weekly, but what we're seeing is that we're still having a good amount that are coming on, or that are going off the market, which is 463, which is a very high number. That's showing that, again, there's a lot of buyers out there, a lot of people willing to, take on properties anywhere in the state of Connecticut, and for any type of price range as well, which is significant. This is the drastic number that we're seeing. So listings that are coming onto the market are only at 263. So again, if you look back, 463 are coming off the market, 263 are actually coming onto the market, which essentially, again, it's almost a 2-to-1 ratio essentially of how many listings are coming on and the amount of buyers that are actually scooping all those up. And what we're finding is, especially in this market, they're going for 20 to 25, 30 over asking price and only lasting on the market within about 3 to 5 day ratio. So I know for the amount of my buyers that I have, they are flying off the market, and it's a great time to sell your property and possibly downsize into something a little bit smaller that might suit you a little better. So these are kind of the 6 steps I'm going to kind of go through here. These are just basic things that you kind of want to plan for if you do decide to sell your property and possibly downsize. You want to include family members with little tasks that might help you out. It's a stressful thing going through selling your home. Obviously, you have a lot of clutter, things of that nature. And the main things you want to focus is, your primary rooms like your living room, your bedroom, dining area, because those are the focal points that especially buyers look at when they're looking at pictures and possibly to view your property. The second step is declutter. I'm going to actually have Melissa jump in on this because she's the expert. So Melissa, what do you think about, decluttering, and what would be your advice in that end?
Sure. So it's very important before we list your home that we have that we engage in the staging process, and that means that we declutter, depersonalize, and really organize your home so that it's clean, neat, and organized, so that it can sell quickly and to appeal to as many buyers as possible. So the statement I always say to my staging clients is that when we start the process, we think of your home as an Airbnb listing. People walk in, they see it's furnished, clean, organized, decluttered, but they don't know who was in there the week before, meaning the seller. They don't see personal photos, trophies, family vacations. So that's really important that we depersonalize that so that buyers can walk in and feel themselves living in your home.
What would you say for vacant properties? Is there something that you would do differently? Because I know sometimes I hear buyers kind of say, oh man, it doesn't feel homey, like I'm getting a cold feeling. Is there something that you would do to, help the buyer see it differently, or the seller to possibly change that?
Sure. So at that point, we can ask the seller, we have a few options. Either we leave it the way it is as vacant in the photos. But we definitely always want to add like a welcome mat in the doorways that people are going to come through from the outside of the home. New spring wreaths, that's really important, or some fresh flowers or faux flowers that are on the countertops, even in the bathroom on the vanities. That's a quick, easy way to do it. And of course, we could physically stage the property or do virtual staging. But because the market's so hot right now, we really don't need to do that.
That was going to be my second question. You just answered it. Because of how crazy it is right now, I mean, is there really time to even get that done? Obviously, we want to plan. So you're in there, about a week or two prior to them listing, correct?
We can even be in there a few days before.
Okay.
So yeah, that's something to think about. But again, because it's a case by case basis. It depends a lot. Do you have 3 neighbors who are listing their home as well? So we need to kind of up the game a little bit on our end. So we really got to, ask ourselves those questions before we jump into physically staging, because there is an investment with it.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So yeah, again, step 3, you want to focus on positive change. Anytime you're downsizing, give or take, or going into a new area, you want to just obviously make sure it's your space. You want to feel comfortable, and you want to grow into that new environment, because, a lot of times, again, kind of what I mentioned, if you're downsizing, you've probably been at your home for a long time, and it's probably a hard thing to give up at that point. And you want to make sure the next step that you go to, wherever it is, you want to feel comfortable in that process. So essentially, the steps that we go through when we want to possibly sell your home is I would come in, or one of our agents on our professional team would come in, and we do a walk through your property, get to know you as well. I think that's very important to build rapport with any client that we work with, to make sure you guys understand the value of what we provide, and really a trust factor. I think that's the most important thing. And we go through, again, we bring Melissa in, she helps stage the property. We take very nice pictures of the property to make sure that it's going to market and be out there as a difference than any other property that we have. That's why we have professionals that provide that service for you. Again, when it comes to the active listings, continuous online and print marketing, what our team provides is everything that there is when it comes to marketing. We have an amazing marketing manager, Lauren, on our team, who makes sure that everything is done correctly. We host open houses. We have showings that begin at the times that you feel comfortable doing. Again, in this market, we always highly recommend leaving those times open as more so as possible, because the best thing you can do is have as many eyes as possible on your property to then drive up the price, right? And again, feedback always comes in from our agents. We make sure to get every feedback, whether good or bad. We want to make sure that we have that for you so we can provide as much information as possible during the process. And then the last step 6, is the offer and close, right? So once we receive and review and accept an offer, the buyer obviously schedules the home inspection. We kind of go through the process of letting the buyer maybe decide if they would like to have some things fixed or rectified in the home. And that's where it's very essential to have an agent like myself or someone on the team to help guide you through that process, because that is pretty much the most important part, is getting through the home inspection and then getting us to when we can talk to your Richard Witt and the attorneys, and obviously the home insurance as well. So let's move on here. And I know, Jay, you kind of mentioned a little bit to yourself. Did you want to just kind of talk about what's going on in the market right now that you've seen? I know I kind of mentioned that it's crazy, right? But from your end of the spectrum, what are you seeing for interest rates and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, interest rates are still at the lowest that we've seen. They've ticked up maybe like over the last week, but historical lows. So the money is very inexpensive right now. So it's a perfect time to take advantage of the rates, to do some financing. Basically what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot has to be tied to what's going on in the economic environment, right? There is a shortage of housing, which is obviously making it a little bit difficult to go under contract, but the rates are phenomenal. Lots of programs out there, and they're predicting these lows to maybe stick around this year, with a couple ups and downs, but nothing too volatile for the most part.
Awesome. So in your opinion, would you still, obviously because the market's a little crazy, but interest rates are so low, would you still advise people that this is still a great time to purchase a home?
Yeah, your buying power is so much more, borrowing, say 250,000 at a rate of say 5 or 5.5 versus where they are right now, right around 3, huge difference in monthly payment, right? So you're able to afford more based on the low interest rates than you would historically.
Makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So again, like I guess my question to you, Jay, would be, you said that you're not seeing anything, interest rates not going up or a huge uptick anytime soon. I mean, like we're always talking about the escalator, right? Like things slowly going up, and we weren't sure what was going to happen after the election and all that fun stuff. We've been pretty consistent for how long would you say with interest rates?
Well, ever since the onset of COVID, like last March, there was a enormous rate plummet at that time. For the first time, that we've ever seen 30-year fixed rates in the mid 2s. The fact is today you're probably looking at right around 3.25. So a little bit up since the onset, but that volatility is always going to be there behind the scenes, right? So there's always going to be market movement. And right now we have seen over the course of the last 2 weeks, a slight uptick in interest rates. Whether it's here to stay as a permanent thing or it is the escalator effect like you referenced, the analysts out there are saying no. The analysts are saying that, we're going to see these spikes here and there, but the rates are going to stay at historic lows. So great time to purchase.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Jay. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Devin.
Yep. Rich, what do you have to add on your side of the spectrum? I'm sure you have buyers scheduling appointments and closings every day now, so I'm sure you're busy as well.
Yeah, but it's similar to what Jay said. We're starting to get impacted because I've got a whole list of clients who are working with their agents who cannot find the home. So it is affecting, the number of closings, only because not that we're properly staffed or we can't handle it. We probably have more capacity, but we're just waiting for hopefully some more homes coming up on the spring market, so they can be matched to my buyers' needs. But again, a lot of people are just being outbid. But again, rents, I always point out, have skyrocketed. So as Jay said, with the interest rates as low as they are and your buying power, most times people are telling me at the closing that they're paying less for their mortgage than they are for their current rent in West Hartford or Bloomfield or Farmington or Avon. So that's the case. Is we're seeing it's still a great time to buy, and hopefully there'll be more homes coming on the market in the spring and match up some of these buyers with these properties.
And so, Rich, on your end as well, I mean, I know with COVID, I mean, everyone's been very careful. Are you doing a lot of virtual closings as well? Is that something that
So
you're...
what we do is we have the clients come to one of our parking lots in both our locations. We've installed slots in each door, and the client then comes, they get the night before an assigned Zoom link, and they'll come to our door. We have their package waiting for them in a sealed envelope that's never been used, in another envelope that's never been used, and they give a copy package, a tab package with tabs and pens that have never been used, and they go to their car, we sign into the Zoom, and we go through the package page by page. Usually takes about an hour. And then usually now the seller's documents are coming UPS Express, so we'll have those at some point during the day. And after they're done with the package, they put it back into the slot. We spend about 5 minutes reviewing it for a lender like Jason to make sure they've signed everything properly. And then we have them come out of their car and at a safe distance, usually about 20, 25 feet. We take their oath and make it official. And then we tape the Zoom meeting for posterity and keep it on our records. And then we also keep a hard copy and download it to iCloud with 3 backups. So we've got that for 7 years. But it's literally since March. I mean, we were all there on the meeting when we all adapted, and none of us have skipped a beat between the Miale team and Jason and all of us. I can't recall a closing not going through because of COVID. It was just a challenge that I think we've all met head on and overcame.
Yeah, I would agree with Rich. I can tell you firsthand, I've had multiple buyers that have closed with Rich, and it was a very smooth, easy process. It was new, obviously,
Yep.
just like what COVID provided for us, but it was very smooth and everything worked out perfectly. So
Well, thank you.
kudos to you.
Thank you.
All right, Melissa, you're up next. I know you kind of gave us a little bit, just a small little bit early on, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you can provide for the client.
Sure. So I've been working with the Miale team on providing staging services to our sellers, which includes a lengthy but really impactful consultation, again, where we go over room by room and determine ways that we can declutter, depersonalize, and organize the home so that it can really showcase in the best possible condition. And, we start in your front entryway and we go around the home. We even sometimes look in closets, which our sellers like to put things in and think that I'm not going to open, but I do. And it's really important too in ranches, small capes, and condos. I do like to look in closets because I want to be able to have buyers see that they have plenty of storage space available. So we like to declutter closets in tight homes by about 50%. That's super important because we don't want to have a buyer open up the closet and say, wow, that closet's really packed. That must be why they're moving. And we have a family that's growing. So there's no way we can get this house. And just as simple as that, they could walk out and move on. But if we spend a little bit of time in decluttering and organizing the closet, then it can definitely move in a better direction. So during the staging consultation, we go over, again, ways to declutter and depersonalize, but we also talk about any updates that the client might be making, including updating countertops or paint colors and flooring. Again, we're in a really hot market right now, so we don't have to focus very heavily on it, but it is important to note that if we have, a stained carpet or an outdated countertop and the seller says, listen, I have X amount of money I want to invest into updating the home to be able to achieve a higher listing price. What are your, professional recommendations on what you think is most strategic for us to tackle? And that's a conversation that we have with the Miale team and the client to be able to determine what the next best steps are. And then we go throughout the home, and before we wrap up, we go over where we're going to store all of the items that we might need to, put away for showings. So a lot of the times the sellers will say, wait a minute, you're telling me to remove, put in storage, but where am I going to put all of this? So before in the consult, we always go over where we're going to put those items, whether if it's in the basement, the shed, or the garage, or even if you have a lot of things and you're a large family, then we talk about a pod or a storage area. Those are kind of like the last resort options though. And then we go back to the office and we type up a report, super easy to follow. We send that over to the sellers. If they have any questions, they can always reach us anytime throughout the staging process to help them. And they don't have to take any notes when we're there. And it's really important. I want them to be able to listen and not worry about taking any notes down. That's what our job's for. And it definitely makes for a more productive staging consult.
100%. I mean, you hit it perfectly, because again, like I always bring that stress level over. And obviously when, sellers have a lot on their plate, working with their job, possibly having to be at their home and working, they just want to take something off their plate. And that's what Melissa does so well, is she makes it very simple, just bullet points of her recommendations. And we give you guys enough time to, change it up a little bit just to make your house look as perfect as we can possibly market it. So awesome. Anything else, Melissa?
You brought up a good point too, because there are a lot of clients that do get stressed out and overwhelmed. And I can, 99% of the time can read that as soon as I walk in. So I want sellers to know that we're a team in this, and we really take it room by room. And we don't say to ourselves, we're going to tackle the first floor in a weekend when they have 3 kids. That's an unrealistic expectation that we're going to set upon ourselves, and it's not going to be achievable. And you're going to get frustrated and irritated with the process. So we kind of develop a game plan before I leave, and what's realistic for their time commitment and, their work schedule and family life. So that's really important to showcase.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you very much, Melissa. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And Ryan, last but not least, what can you tell us in your world?
So I would say it starts with, so if you're downsizing, and that as a specific topic, are you buying another property or are you transitioning into renting? And those have very 2 different paths as a past or continued homeowner. So if you're downsizing and owning, then a relatively fairly similar process to when you bought your first house. You would have to do all the closing aspects and secure your new home with insurance for, unless you're buying it cash because you made that much money off your home, or you don't have a lender and need all of the closing documents. But pretty much I would look at it as if you're selling your home and either moving out of state or going to rent for a little while, just because I think we've been seeing that with a lot of our clients that have been selling homes, or they have a second home. So they sold their home in this market and then went to live in Vermont or Florida, and their families or their kids are all gone from the area. So with that, what we see is, one, depending on the coverages you have, if you have an umbrella policy, usually that's attached to your homeowner's policy. So not a lot, but that's a very common thing to let slip. So now that you sold a home, you have more liquid assets and wanting to maintain that umbrella policy. The other thing is auto insurance. So if you're going out of state, registering cars out of state, etc., leaving us or your agent with your forwarding address, if there's any return premium or things like that, it's good to make sure it gets into your hands easily, as well as jewelry or any art or anything like that that was also attached to the homeowner's policy. A lot of people forget sometimes. Those are very simple things to just let fall by the wayside. And then you have no coverage for them unless you get individualized policies. And then I guess the other thing we're seeing with people that are buying homes right now, part of the condition to close is they're waiving inspections. So people are getting homes with roofs that are aged, and that's a big factor in insurance. There's been some chatter on our end if claims are going to be paid or not in the future. If someone recently bought a home and the roof wasn't fixed in that first year or two, inspections have changed a little bit too. So more carriers are having insureds or the homeowner take pictures of their home and send them to the insurance company. And they're not sending someone out on site. So it's kind of a photo based versus actual hands-on someone seeing. So that's just an area that we're looking at with what's going to happen if it's going to increase claims on people buying a home or larger claims than they could be, especially if you're moving into a new area.
So let me ask you this, all right? So when obviously, like, especially with these new claims, especially roofs specifically, right? Let's use one of the bigger ticket items. Obviously, sometimes the disclosures have, a year or close to like an 8 to 10 year roof, let's say. Can you use the disclosures as like a buffer with the pictures, or are kind of the pictures just what you have to use when it comes?
No, well, so and no one's really gonna, the pictures you send in, they're gonna not be able to, so usually you'd say, okay, the roof was put on in 2008. That's what we enter for the underwriting data. There's actually a loss, and they find out the roof was actually 1998. So then it's kind of, well, where'd that data come from? That's what the prior seller said. The most 99% of insurance companies would pay the claim, cover the insured. But what we're seeing, if then that's gonna, more carriers are getting stingent on, they're gonna just pay to fix where was damaged and not fix your whole roof in that case. So then you're gonna have a quarter of a roof brand new and 3/4 looking, so that's just something that's been loosely chattered.
Yeah, especially like you mentioned, to your point. I mean, especially with how a lot of people are waiving inspections or just maybe getting an inspection and not really like utilizing it the way they're supposed to, right? So that's something definitely watch out for in this market, because again, you want to win the deal. It's just you want to be safe down the road, right? When you talk to Ryan about insuring your property, correct?
Yeah, and I think putting people in the realistic position too of the costs that come into homeownership down the road. Also, some of the carriers, same thing with damage. If you have vinyl siding, there used to be coverage that would replace everything, so you'd have like and kind and matching. But now, if they can't find at a cost to match what you had, or they would match everything, but they can't say it's not manufactured, they're going to just replace that one area, and you're going to be on the hook for the rest. So there's different endorsements changing to the homeowner's policy that carriers are starting to get a bit more nitpicky.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anything else, Ryan, you'd like to add?
Wish I had a house to sell.
Don't we all? Don't we all right now? So these are just some of the frequently asked questions that we go through. I'm not sure if Lauren's still on here. If we had anybody that threw anything in the chat box, I'd be happy to answer. But I'll just answer a few of these if everyone's comfortable with them. How do you figure out the value of my home? That is a insanely crazy question right now. What we do is that we do a comparative market analysis, a CMA is what we call it. And we just, we try to identify what's, the positives and maybe a couple of the negatives, right? And we try to use that data to get a number that, one, you're comfortable with and we're comfortable with to sell your home. Ever since I started 5.5 years ago, you can never underprice a home. The market's going to dictate exactly where the price goes to, because buyers will pay. I promise you, they will pay. So again, like, you always want to have a number. You don't want to overprice a home. You really don't, because if you overprice it, and especially in this market, after 10 days, if you haven't had an offer, you're overpriced. It's just a fact of the matter. And anytime someone sees a reduced price, the first question they ask is, well, why didn't anyone else want this property? What's wrong with it, right? So you never want to do that. It's always smart to underprice and bring the value back up if possible, right? What's another one we can do? I don't even know here. Let's see. How do you handle multiple offers? That's a great one in this market. So as a seller, you basically you have the cards, right? You're holding the deck at this point. And let's just say you get 10 offers, which is pretty standard in this market right now, surprisingly enough. The reason you want a realtor to help you is because we can identify certain things that maybe you might not be able to see. For instance, price isn't always everything. It isn't. Again, like if they have a conventional loan, if they have an FHA loan, again, Jason can speak to these. Obviously, conventional is a stronger loan, correct, Jay?
And that's how it's viewed, right? But not necessarily. There are differences between them, right? But there could be very well qualified FHA buyers too, and there could be less quality transactions that go conventional. It really all percolates down to the strength of the borrower and the details and the property, right? FHA is going to be a little bit more stringent upon condition of the overall property, but that's why it's always important to have someone that, whoever the lender is, they really need to be local and have a look at the specific property online and see if it could have an issue with FHA or not, or reach out to the listing agent like we do and say, are there any condition concerns at the property that might prevent this from going FHA beforehand, before it becomes a problem. So it's always good to do every single part of your due diligence up front from a lending perspective. If you're dealing with a Rocket Mortgage or Quicken Loans and you're online with a guy out in Iowa or something, you're lucky if he even knows how to lend in this community, let alone has the time or the access to speak with the local agents about the condition of the property and upcoming obstacles. So that being said, I mean, there could be different qualities to both loans, but work with a local lender. It's definitely advisable in this market. 100%. It's never too early to start. If you're thinking about selling, let's run some numbers, figure out where you want to be on the next house price point, and get you all set up so that we can easily get you a pre-qualification out immediately if the house of your dreams pops on the market, because we want to make sure you're fully prepared and we want to set you apart from those other offers, right? Make you look the best with all other things considered, that your financing is all buttoned up, and have that conversation with the listing agent to kind of set you apart from the other people that aren't calling or reaching out.
And that, again, to your point, I mean, this is why Miale team specifically, and the reason why we're the top selling team in Connecticut currently, is we work with professionals like all of these people. And to Jay's point, I've been working with Jay for my entire career, and he saved deals for me. And I'll tell you right now, he is the guy to go to 100% over and over and over again. So thanks, Jay. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So this is everyone's contact information. I go quick, guys. I'm not one of those, slow down, because this market is too fast. So if you guys have anything else to add, please feel free. But like I said, these are all of our panelists' information. Please reach out to them. They are amazing. I promise you that you will not be disappointed. Any of you guys have anything to add?
So it looks like Lauren threw in 2 questions for you.
Oh, chat. Oh, Lauren, I don't know how to use this stuff.
You want me to read them out loud, Devin?
Lauren, that would be amazing. Now again, everyone can hear your beautiful voice. There you go.
Okay, so the first question is how soon should I start sorting through? This is one for me, actually. So this is perfect. I'll take care of it. You'd sit back. How soon should I start sorting through my items, downsizing before listing my home? You should start yesterday. You should go through with your family, pick a Friday night, and say you're going to spend 1 hour going through. It is so important to start sooner rather than later so that you're not overwhelmed with the whole process. When I come in and I'm like, hey guys, we're going to stage your house today and we're going to do blah, blah, blah. So make your life easier when I come in with you. And it's really helpful to do that because listen, if you're downsizing and your kids have grown up, you have their furniture from when they were kids, their old cribs. Because if you're a mom like me, you can never get rid of a high chair. So you have to keep it for 30 years. So your kids need time to be able to pick those items up. So there's been times where I've been in homes where people are downsizing, moving, and they're like, yeah, we can't list yet because we're waiting for our kids to come pick it up. So don't let those happen. Go through what you have to give to family members or what they have to come and pick up. And I would definitely take care of that sooner rather than later. And then the next question, the last one is, what is the best room in the house to tackle first when downsizing?
Double whammy for you, Melissa. There you go.
Yeah,
I don't have to
I
answer
love
anything.
it, right?
My job's easy.
Your job's easy. So I would say whatever room it has the most items in. I would go through that. A lot of the times, it's the basement, right? It's where we put everything in for 20, 30 years. And if you can start assessing actually what you have down there and what you're going to do with it, not necessarily, okay, this is everything that has to go this weekend, but kind of figure out a game plan for your most challenging or time consuming room that it's going to take you to get ready. And that will definitely give you an advantage before I come in. It'll be a huge time saver for you if you do that.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Melissa. Those are the only two?
Those
Help
are
me
the
out.
only two. Oh, do you want me to read it or do you want to? I don't want to take over.
No, please read it because I don't even know how to find it. I'll just be honest.
Okay, we are thinking of moving in a few years. We would like to do some updating. Do you provide advice on best way to update to prepare for selling? And the answer is yes. So your agent, Anne, will be able to go over kind of that initial renovating discussion with you before I come in, and kind of have you have a game plan of what you're thinking to tackle. And then they relay that to me. We kind of have a team meeting before I go out. And then when I come out, we talk about renovation goals, budget, and timeline. We say, okay, if you have, $5,000 to update, we're not going to be able to renovate a bathroom. But can we, put that money towards a fresh coat of paint or, updating some windows that maybe need repair? So those are the questions that we'll go over when I come in for the staging consult. And anything that, Anne, you and I would talk about with updates, it always gets relayed back to your agent so that we're all, consistent with what we're saying and we're all on the same page with goals and expectations. So I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Thanks again, Melissa.
Welcome.
Anything else, guys, before we wrap up? Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Jason, Melissa, Ryan, Rich. Again, thank you, whoever tuned in. And again, I just want to be honest, this is the team to work with. They do an amazing job, and so does the Miale team. So thank you so much for watching, and hope to hear from you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Devin.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Devin.
Thank you. Thanks, Devin.